welcome to the Domestic
Man.
Draft Podcast. I'm Evan Bierman here with Dan Slowick. Dan, you were just showing me that cool can there. Why don't you just kick it off with what beer you're drinking?
Yeah, I've actually had them on before a while ago. The brewery's called Henny Brewing Company. It's out in Alpine, California. A little bit about the brewery, and then I'll get back kind of into the beer. But like I was saying, I've mentioned them earlier, and if you go to Alpine in San Diego, it's on the 8. And if you know what the 8 is, it's our highway expressway that basically takes you back east, right? It dead ends at the ocean, and it takes you back east. If you want to go to Arizona from here, or like back to the main country, you take the 8. So you take the 8 about 30 minutes outside San Diego. You start getting into the mountains. It's pretty nice out there. I really enjoy going that way. And Alpine is kind of your last town before like some of the mountain towns. And there used to be a brewery there called Alpine Beer Company, and it was actually the same family, right, that now has Henny Brewing Company. So the father of the owners of it now was Alpine Beer Company, and he partnered with, I believe, AleSmith, and had a bunch of beer from like 1999. Really well respected brewer, but retired kind of thing, but a bunch of recipes. And his kids decided to kind of, in the same space too, continue this tradition of brewing in their family, and opened up Henny Brewing Company, the family's name. It's very blue collar. I was in there this weekend after kind of just going on a family hike, and like the town was there. There's no TVs, but it was so loud because everyone's talking and everyone knew who they were. So just a really good place, local place, right? Doing things right. Really good beer. The beer I'm drinking is a double IPA. It's called Wild Child. It's got a 4.2 on Untapped. It's
Nice.
8.4% ABV. And yeah, like I was telling you, it's got a really cool like ingredients list on the side, and the name Wild Child, they have like where the wild things are caricature with like the hop. And then it lists the hops they use, it lists the grains they use. And it's really crisp. I remember tasting it before I bought it. I was surprised at how heavy it is with the alcohol percentage, because it drinks really well. And it's just a good company, right? Like no frills either. Like you see their Instagram social, like it's just the communal thing. People know about it, they love it. It's successful because it's good. What about you, man? What are you
Yeah,
drinking?
community brewery. I'm kind of doing, a bit of the opposite here, but also close to you out in Cali. I've got Cerveza Pacifico Clara. So it's a
Oh,
well-known beer. You can get this anywhere. It's part of Grupo Modelo. Grupo Modelo's large brewery in Mexico. They export beer to most countries in the world. So, like I said, it's pretty mass produced.
uh-huh.
They do Corona, Modelo, and Pacifico. And actually, in May of 2023, Modelo Especial became the top selling beer in the United States by retail sales volume, surpassing Bud Light. So I think,
Hmm.
the
Interesting.
Mexican beer trend is taking up. It's very much on the uptrend. But Pacifico, it's a crisp Mexican Pilsner style lager. It's 4.5%. And the Clara part of it actually means clear or blonde, as opposed to Oscura, which is dark. But it gets a 3.17 on Untapped, and I got to tell you, that's a crime. This is such a drinkable beer.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm wearing a surf hat today, one that I picked up when I was out by you in San
That's
Diego, and
right.
I'll tell you why in a second here. It's because Cerveza Pacifico, in 1900, three German brewers established Cerveceria del Pacifico in the small Mexican port town of Mazatlan. Word of the exceptionally drinkable Pilsner style lager traveled fast. Soon, thirst for Pacifico spread from Sinaloa and up the rugged Baja coastline. Fast forward to the early 1970s. The story goes, a group of California surfers ventured south in their van to explore the breaks along the coast. They found themselves in Baja, where they discovered some surf spots, some cantinas,
Typical.
and this beloved local beer called Pacifico. So excited by their find, the surfers loaded up their cars with a few cases, brought it up north, and that became kind of the thing. They were the first importers of the Pacifico, but Baja-born cerveza, gained a passionate following. So surfers would travel down there, they'd find those
Yep.
hidden surf spots, and they'd bring back this cerveza. And so now it's a really well-known established beer, but that's why I got the surf hat on,
Cool.
trying to get the surf vibes going. It's a little chilly here, I'm sure, colder than it is by
Baja's
you,
so
but
cool, man. Like it's such a gem to have connected right to us here in San Diego. It's super easy to get there. Like the border crossing, super easy, really quick to get in. Takes a little longer to come back, a lot more traffic coming back, but it's just beautiful. I mean, if you like Southern California, the geography, the coastlines, I mean, it just continues to trend southern and southward. So the food's really good. I've been there multiple times with my wife on vacation. The people are super nice. There's a lot of cool places to go and check out there. I'm always a fan of like advocating people going and checking out Baja California. People do it all the time. It's great. We're pretty lucky down here.
Yeah, I saw on Instagram, I think it was your wife actually that was posting some videos and pictures of kind of the holiday scene out in California. In
Uh-huh.
the Midwest, we get snow, it's cold, we're
Hmm.
used to this kind of holiday feeling, put the tree up, everybody kind of stays in, hunkers down, got the
Yeah,
cozy
yeah, yeah,
blankets and
yeah.
everything like that.
A little
What's
different.
the vibe out there? I mean, you're coming home in a week, so I'll see you in a
Yeah,
week, which is gonna
yeah.
be awesome. But I'm curious what the holiday scene is. What are you guys doing out there? Are you going to the Christmas lights or what kind of
So we
things are
have,
there
yeah,
out
we
there?
have all those things, right? We like decorate our house, but like our zoo, same as like Lincoln Park Zoo, they put lights up. One of the best zoos in the world, by the way, San Diego Zoo. They put lights up. One of our big tourist attractions is Balboa Park. They put lights up. My old neighborhood, Ocean Beach, they had their holiday parade, which is insane. They shut down the neighborhood and it was like a 3 hour parade, and everyone's kind of lined up. The bars and restaurants are open, so people are getting sauced up pretty good. As far as like spirit, yeah, I mean everyone's like shopping. There's big commercial areas. It's kind of the same, but not the same feeling, right? If you grew up with a cold Christmas and snow on the ground, and you really feel those cozy Christmas songs like chestnuts roasting on an open fire, and you could just like feel that, right? You could feel the fire in your living room going and snuggled up. It's not the same. You miss that little feel here and there, but people gather. There's a lot of good food. The spirit is there, but it's, yeah, just a little different. I mean, you can go to the
I saw
beach,
there
play a
was
little
an
beach
ice skating
volleyball,
rink
and
next to the beach. How does
yeah, they
that
they
work
put it
out?
up.
Is
They
that
got like,
just like a pond by the end of the day? They're just constantly keeping that thing
yeah, you
cold, or
got
how does that
technology.
work?
Yeah, you got technology keeping it cold, and they also have like the plastic kind of material, whatever it is, for an ice rink. But yeah, we decorate palm trees instead of pine trees, but it is what it is. I think they celebrate it
I
well.
like it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But let's go ahead and get into it. It's just me and you today, so I kind of like that it's me and you because I got a lot. I mean, man, our group chat is just blowing up every single day with sports talk. It's like a crazy time right now because NFL is moving into playoffs. NBA is moving into trade deadline All-Star break. Winter meetings in baseball just concluded, and there was obviously the biggest signing ever happened with Shohei. So, you want to talk Cubs and kind of MLB first, and we'll just go down the gambit
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I think that sounds good to me. Ohtani was a huge, I think, just a huge pipe dream for any Cubs fan. Everybody wanted him. It sounded like they were in on him. And
Mm,
then today we're hearing that potentially they, you know, were never seriously considered. Which,
who
I
cares?
think it makes sense. Ohtani's he's from Japan. He's gonna stay in the West Coast. He never really thought much, I don't think, about the Cubs when he first came over. So I don't know. Personally, I thought he was going to go to the Blue Jays, so I was a bit surprised that he went to the Dodgers.
I thought
But
Dodgers all along.
did you?
It just
Yeah, it
makes
made the
it
most
makes the most
sense.
sense.
Yeah,
They were the favorite, I think, out the gate. Thought them all along. I'm pretty sure his
yeah,
dog's name's Dodger. That's why they didn't want to release it, right?
yeah. I don't
Just made
know.
me think of the Bryce Harper thing when his dog was named Wrigley. But it's a really interesting contract, and it really pisses me off. And it shouldn't be allowed. Like that makes me super upset to be able to sign a player for $700 million, but defer most of it until he's probably not going to be playing for you. Is
Yeah,
definitely the loophole that they found within the collective bargaining agreement. And also, he's kind of like doing tax evasion because he doesn't want to get taxed by California laws, which were like the second highest tax state in the country. So he's only going to be making 2 mil a year. He's going to cap hit about what, 46 mil against the cap, which is still nothing compared to the overall contract which he signed, which he'll get paid by like what'd they say, by like
And the cap, I
2035,
mean, the cap,
2045, he's gonna get paid.
yeah. The thing about the cap, there's not even really a cap in the MLB. It's just you
Yeah,
could pay the luxury tax, and the Dodgers are going to do that anyways. They're
no
paying
matter
so many
what.
guys right now.
Which
Betts, Freeman. They're like
put a salary
they're
cap
up
on
to
it,
their
right?
ears, and yeah, you got to do some. I
I
mean,
mean,
you
we're
got to
lucky
do
we're Cubs
something.
fans.
Like look at
Imagine
how
if
are
you're
they?
like a Tigers fan, like, or a
How are the
Royals fan,
A's?
or the
How are the
A's.
A's ever supposed to compete? It's
Exactly.
impossible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
It
yeah,
sucks,
I
man.
mean,
I thought more pieces were gonna fall too, right? So we got signed probably, what was that, Friday of last week? It really broke over the weekend.
yeah, right
And
before
I
the
thought
weekend, I
and I
think, and
thought like
then
more pieces, like once that got out of the way, all the other GMs would start like getting down to business. But I'm pretty sure that was the big like explosion to kick it all off, and now everyone's waiting for the dust to settle. Kind of like, all right, everyone calm down. Like, that's a ridiculous contract, ridiculous way they did it. Let's do,
mhm.
this as normal. Let's start talking regular contracts here. Let's get it back to the
Yeah,
how
that's a
it's
good
supposed to
point.
be.
That's a good point because I think everybody was thinking that was going to be the catalyst for all the free agent signings, like you said. And
Yeah.
then that number was just so insane that every agent is upping what they were, Bellinger's, he got Rosenhaus, right? So he's
Yeah.
probably like, look at what he just got, you
Yeah.
know? So yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And as far as Belly goes, now that I brought him up, I think the Cubs are still definitely in on him. And I think they need to bring him back, do whatever it takes, be the highest offer. Let's bring him back. He's still young, still in his
I think
prime.
so. I think so. I
I think
think
he's
you
fantastic. Yeah, great defensively, a
like
great year offensively,
get
right?
aggressive. Get aggressive.
Yeah.
I think we made him known we weren't going to get Ohtani. Probably made him an offer, but like, this is what we're going to do, take it or leave it, like, kind of thing. Which kind of sucks, but
Yeah,
I mean,
the reported offer from the Cubs was like 600 mil. So I mean, that's a
it's a
substantial
ton of money.
offer.
It's
It's
a ton of
still
money.
100 million off.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I just want some chips to start falling. I want some signings to happen. I'm like looking every day, refreshing the feed, like waiting for the first signing to happen, and then like the second, third, fourth, because the Cubs need a lot of pieces. We need some pitching. We need some power bats. I think Naylor has been thrown out there. I believe he finished the season on the Guardians. Is that correct? The first baseman, whose brother's in the league as well. I've heard Rhys Hoskins. So obviously the Cubs are looking at a power bat at first base, because Belly, preferred probably option for most, but Rhys Hoskins is there. Naylor is there as well. On the pitching side, I know we talked to
Michael
Codify,
Fisher.
Mike Fisher
Yeah.
of Codify, and he was talking about how nasty Moto is. And it seems
Hmm.
like the Dodgers are in on him as well, which pisses me off.
Yeah.
They're also in on Glass now. With the Cubs were also like rumored to be trading for. I mean, we got to get one of the top arms, I think, in the offseason, and we got to get a power bat.
Yeah. I mean, they're up against it going against the Dodgers, Otani's contract only being 2 mil a year and them having that much, money to still
It's not
work
right.
and still
It's not
find
right.
these guys. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating because it is a destination out in the West Coast. Yeah, the taxes, is something that helps, but I think the Cubs got to be aggressive, like you said. I think Yoshinobu Yamamoto would be fantastic. That front end starter, that's available. Those are
Yeah.
hard to come by. One that's was in the World Baseball Classic and just tore it up too. So somebody that has played against big competition and the big moment and can do it. And
It's a good point. Good
would love
point.
to see him in a Cubs uniform. I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's a slim
Don't you
chance of
hate that
that.
though? Like, don't you hate that the biggest names, you're just kind of like, we're probably not going to get them.
Yeah. It
It's been
feels
like
like that
that.
now. And
It's been like that
it's
always. The last time we got it was Hayward, and he was a complete bust. He was the
yeah.
top free agent, and we're like, we went out and got him, albeit we won a World Series, but it wasn't because of him.
Hmm.
It always feels like we're never, it's Yankees, Dodgers, the Mets who are spending crazy money. Never the Cubs, man. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when they got you Darvish, that was big, wasn't it?
True.
That was a big move. But it seems like it's been a while, you're right. And this offseason feels like the time that they need to do it.
It's
So,
dragging.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping
Let's
there's
see
some
some
of these other
signings.
names, right? Like Reese Hoskins was a name that I
Yeah.
think you brought up in the past, and
I'm a fan of his. I'd be fine if they signed him. So like,
Pete
here's this
Alonso.
scenario. and
If
then
we
we'll
go
move
get Pete
on.
Alonso.
But
Yeah.
like, yeah, give me Reese Hoskins, give me a Chapman. Like those are two good bats, two good players, and that infield's pretty solid with Dansby and Nico, right? That's a good
Hmm.
infield. And in the outfield, you still have Seiya, you got Hap, and you got Pete Crow Armstrong like coming up, right?
Hmm.
So it's fun, but it's not like potent, right? You're hoping everyone clicks, you're hoping everyone plays up to their potential, but it's not like a tried and true talent. You sign Pete Alonso, well, then you might have Pete Crow Armstrong to trade for one of the top pitchers. I don't know. Like people don't want to trade him,
Yeah.
but that's kind of like we've been there before. Albeit, it was later in the season. It was trading minor league prospects for, Aroldis Chapman to really seal the deal, win the World Series.
Hmm.
But we got a solid farm system, and the translation to the big leagues and him struggling at the plate, but he's still got a lot of hype. Like sell him high, maybe. I don't know. Is that
That's so
crazy?
funny that you're all about that because we can transition this to the Bulls. And if I, mirror that with your thoughts on Patrick Williams for the last 3 or 4 years, where he came up and struggled right away, and you're like, listen, just give him time, all right? He's still
He
young, and he
didn't
still is.
struggle right away. He played all right, and then he broke his wrist, and then he
Uh,
struggled, and then he continued to struggle, and now he's still kind of sort of
so are you
struggling.
blaming the wrist injury for this or what?
No, 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 no.
Just not a alpha
First off, it
player,
was a
right?
wild pick. I remember when we picked him. I'm like, who? Who is this kid?
Yeah.
He's a sixth man at Florida State. But yeah, it's Tuck Bowles. Um, I don't know. I've been watching again, obviously, all of the games. He looks way more comfortable with Zach LaVine sidelined, but still, man, like he's still in the growing process, the maturation process. He's surprising himself a lot to where it's like, oh, I'm open. Shit, I need to shoot it. You know what I mean? Like he's not
What's
playing
his
a fluid
ceiling now at
game.
this point? What do you think his ceiling? Like, who's a player like a comp that you'd like? Could he ever be Luol Deng?
Yeah, I mean he's 22 years old. He's last couple of games he's probably averaging around like 15 points, 6 rebounds type of deal as a 22-year-old. But his body is completely built. So I think he's going to be in the NBA for like 15 years. Because he could shoot the ball. He's been shooting the ball really well of late. He's starting to rebound, but like the things that I'm seeing that are just like surprising, like his hands, he loses the ball like all too often. He gets an offensive
Going
rebound, goes to
left.
put it, yeah, gets
Yeah.
an offensive rebound, goes to put it back up, and it gets stripped. Or he makes a great move, right? Crosses a guy up, does a Euro step, and he's at the cup, and he's like, "How did I get here?" And surprise, and like blows the layup, and you're like, "Dude, you're in the NBA, like dunk it, finish it." He has been playing good of late, but like he's been playing as like a solid second round find, not a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Um, but the Bulls are interesting. Have you been watching it all? Because like Zach LaVine went out with a sore foot like 6 games ago, right? And they've been 4-2 since. And the two losses are between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Denver Nuggets, like some of the two best teams in
Yeah.
the league. Albeit
Hmm.
Denver didn't have Jamal Murray and Jokic got ejected in the first half. But it's interesting to see
Still
that
good teams.
dynamic, right?
Even without those guys, I think they're still a better team than the Bulls. Yeah,
But
no, I mean it's interesting, and it's like there's the NBA puzzle to figure out. Like you can get some of the best players and still not win.
right,
Like when
right, right.
OKC had Westbrook and Harden and
Or back
Durant,
when they were in
it's
Brooklyn
like
and it
you
was
just
Durant,
couldn't
Harden,
figure
and
out
Kyrie.
you couldn't figure out the puzzle, right? So there's a team chemistry aspect to it. You can have a big three or a big four or whatever, but if you don't have the team chemistry and the guys that can step up when they need to, like Levine just doesn't, there's no chemistry anymore. And I think
So there's the argument too, like, is he a winner or is he a
everybody
loser?
knows it. I don't know that he's a loser.
Is
I
he
just think
empty
he's sick
calorie
of the
stats?
he's sick, yeah, at this point because he's sick of the situation. And the Bulls are sick of him being on the team. And everybody in the NBA knows that both of these sides don't like each other, but he's going to continue to play. Like, I think it's just a
Doesn't that
weird situation. They got to this point, and you got to get rid of them before this happens, right? You got to see
of
that this kind of
course.
thing is going in that direction and make the move before. Like if he was on the Celtics. is there any way that they would get to this point with him, or would he have been gone by now? He would
It's an
absolutely
interesting
have been
question,
traded.
right? Because like this doesn't look good for Zach LaVine. You know, he's been a really good pro. Like I will let it like he's been on
Great player.
awful
Yeah, he's
teams.
not.
He's been on
Yeah,
awful teams too, and not even just like the player, but like the way he would answer questions, carry himself. You know, he would always say the right things, do the right things, stay out of trouble. Like he's a good pro. But to come out at the beginning of the season and like request, I guess it wasn't even like requesting a trade. I think he was just confirming reports that both sides were okay with it. So basically, he's just saying like, yeah, I guess like, because previously, right, like he wasn't okay with it, and I think the Bulls wanted to trade him, and now the Bulls are like, hey, we want to trade you, and now he's like, yeah, all right, like trade me, that's fine. I think it's just weird how the team has excelled in his absence.
hmm
And you know, like as a player on a team, right? Like you take the problem player, the one that's like just like pissing you off while he's like getting all the attention. You take him off the team. The rest of the roster is ready to work hard, listen to the coach, because that's another thing. Like, seemed like he was pretty much telling Donovan to fuck off and I'm gonna just do whatever I want.
Yeah, I mean, was it related to just one game where he like didn't have him in at the end of the game? Like that
Well, that's
happened
I
one
mean, like
time, and he's held this chip on his shoulder since then, or what?
I mean, we're not NBA players or professional athletes, so we won't ever, pretend to, have something in common with them. But
Yeah,
yeah, he sat him at the end of the game because he was playing like shit, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Zach LaVine. Like, you got to play me. You're paying me all this money. Like, doesn't matter if I'm 0 for 10, 0 for 15, if I'm playing like shit, if I'm lazy on defense. Like, you need to play me, kind of thing."
yeah.
He
I
benched him,
mean,
and yeah, I guess he's holding that grudge. But I don't know. In all of this, the one positive thing that I'm seeing, and I think every Bulls fan is seeing, is Coby White, 23 years old, really coming to his own, shooting the ball at an insane clip right now. Threes are just dropping. He's doing some of the craziest shit I haven't seen since like Ben Gordon, right? Where the point guard is trailing the play and they pass it to him as he's like crossing the half court line. He just catches it and just fucking launches it. And he's literally got the green light. He's so confident and he's the ball's going in and he's scoring
yeah.
and he
I
looks
mean, it's a
good.
huge opportunity. Levine's
He looks
out.
good
Lonzo Ball's not coming back probably
coming
ever.
back.
So you
So
got huge
my dream,
opportunity in
yeah,
the yeah.
and we can go on to the Bears, but my dream is let's keep Kobe, let's keep Pat, let's trade DeMar, let's trade Zach, we can keep Vooch, and let's see what we got, because and hopefully with trading DeMar and Zach, we get draft picks, right? So we get some more younger talent, and at least we'll have a team that's like fun to watch, competitively playing, passing the ball, and then we got some prospects in the pipeline.
I don't know. All right. I think so. I mean, they got to do something. So I think, that kind of move, if they suck, then you get a better pick. That's fine.
Speaking
That's
of
fine with me.
picks and
Yeah.
draft picks and trading
Draft picks.
picks and pick positioning,
Yeah.
if the
Bears
Bears
won.
didn't have the number one
So
pick, if they did not have the number one pick, which they do right now, would they sign or look to extend Justin Fields?
man, that's such an interesting question because I think if Ryan Poles didn't have the options that he has available to him and they had like the 10 pick, you know, and it was let's mortgage the future to go up and get somebody like Caleb Williams to supplant Justin Fields. I don't think he would do that because I don't think Fields has been like he hasn't shown enough to me to be the franchise guy. He's not a Patrick Mahomes ever. I don't
Right.
think he's ever going to be that level Josh Allen kind of like, a guy that is this is his team for the next 15 years kind of
Right.
player. But I think he's shown enough that, you could give him another year or two and still, you could. But they have the number one pick.
It's true.
And how hard is it to get that pick? It's hard. If you don't have it, you got to pay a lot. You got to mortgage 2, 3 years of draft picks to get that pick. So to go on with somebody who's mediocre to good or to grab, the best player available in the draft, 2 years in a row, you're going to get the first pick and trade back. Like, I just feel like I
Yeah.
doubt it. I
Yeah.
doubt it.
Yeah.
And especially with how hyped this draft class has been quarterback wise. I know Caleb Williams kind of struggled this year. May had his issues as well, but I think both of those guys prospect wise are players that you just don't really want to pass up on. So I think, it's a tough decision for sure. He's going to piss off a lot of people either way because there are a lot of Bears fans that are sold on Justin Fields,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of Bears fans that aren't. And I
Right.
think his
It's
play in
crazy.
this game, even this week against the Lions, they won, but he was up and down again. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like he was good. Was he fantastic? No, he had one passing touchdown, right? 12 carries, 58 rushing yards, 223 passing yards, and one passing touchdown. So it's like, yeah, those numbers are good, and it was good enough to get the win. The defense played fantastic. You
Yeah.
know,
Tons of
Li-
takeaways.
Goff had one of his worst games of the season, I think. 161 passing yards, terrible. 2 of 10 passing on throws more than 10 yards downfield, tied for his fewest completions in situations like that in a game this season. So he just had like his worst game.
Yeah.
The defense really stepped up. And I think, I don't know. I think, like I said, Fields did enough to win this
Not
game,
because of
but
Fields, but he did
yeah,
just enough to like not lose the game, right?
yeah, yeah. Where are you at with it?
Yeah. It's an interesting and shout out to our buddy Blake Some Words, aka Some Words, who does our theme song, right? Check him out on Spotify if you haven't. But we go back like daily on this because he is like a huge Justin Fields stan, right? Like he is convinced that we need to build around them or build around him, add the pieces, maybe trade the first pick, trade down, get more pieces, and just like solidify this team, and we'll win with Justin Fields. And I am in the position similar to you, where you're you're good, but you're not great. Like Justin Fields is a good quarterback, he's not great. And if I'm a GM, I'm swinging for great if I have the opportunity, which we do, right? And Caleb Williams has also been described as one of the best quarterback prospects since like Andrew Luck. Yes, he had a down year. He also transferred. He also went to a less talented team than he was with in Oklahoma. So it's hard. It's hard to just take that last year too, when he's been the best quarterback in college. You could say probably for the last 3 years, right? I am in the school of draft Caleb Williams, um, and then draft a skill position player with our 5 pick or whatever, 7 pick, whatever it's going to be, or an offensive lineman. But,
Yeah,
but,
we need two top
but,
10 picks.
but,
Yeah,
but, but this week, I mean, yeah, he's been playing like Justin Fields has been playing better. I still think he's not a true like quarterback winning. Like the way he plays is going to get hurt again. And you could say the same thing about Lamar. You could, like he's going to get hurt, which Lamar does,
yeah,
right? Lamar gets hurt all the time. He misses like probably like 4 games a year because he's just hurt. And, the holding the ball, the fumbles, the not reading the open receivers, like I'm not forgetting about that over the last 3 years. He's been good in
hmm
the last, everyone's like, look at his last like 14 games. And it's good to see progress, right? It's good to see him playing better. But this is where I got to go back to. If he beats and looks legit and just like he beats the Browns, not that the Bears win, but Justin Fields beats the Browns, you know what I mean? Not the same
yeah,
win we had with
yeah,
Detroit, where the defense won, the turnover battle, and but if Justin
right.
Fields has like 2 to 3 touchdowns with his arm, no turnovers against that defense, I might crack the window of okay, maybe, maybe.
Yeah,
But I'm pretty convinced that we're going Caleb Williams #1. I'm happy about that decision. I think it's insane that we have the opportunity to do that. And you got to pick the quarterback. It's the most important position in the league. Got to pick the quarterback. The Bears are in a great position. I think Ryan Poles is doing an awesome job. He's drafted a
yeah,
ton of talent. His secondary picks with Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker looks amazing. Offensive lineman Darnell Wright is often like great as one of the best offensive linemen that we have per game. Tevin Jenkins is coming along because he's healthy. Like the guy's hitting on picks, and he's also made the DJ Moore trade that got us in the position for another first. Like Let him cook. Like this guy knows what he's doing. And if he takes Caleb Williams first overall, don't be mad. Don't be
Yeah.
mad because that's your GM's, that's his vision. He did this.
I am a little curious what he's going to do with Jalen Johnson. He's been one of the best, if not the best, cover corner in the league this year. And he was fantastic on Sunday, too. Had his fourth interception of the season and another pass breakup. And per PFF, allowed 0 catches on Sunday, which, Amon-Ra St. Brown had probably one of his worst games of the year, if not his worst game of the year, too, which is
Yeah, I
hard to
felt it.
do. I don't know how much he was on, Jalen Johnson was on him, but Bears defense was playing great, and
Like
it's
top
Matt
five defense.
Eberflus. Is that
Yeah.
Matt Eberflus doing that? And oh man, I don't know.
That's
I
the other argument,
forgot who it
right?
was.
Like
Is he
everyone was
gonna
out
come
on
back?
him, but is he going to come back? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I
don't know.
I see a lot of similarities. So with the Fields thing too, like I see a lot of similarities with the Chiefs where they had Alex Smith. It's not the same, right? Alex Smith was a veteran. He was in the league for like 10 some years. He was leading the Chiefs to divisional playoff game. And then they drafted Mahomes like top 10 and he eventually took over, right? Um, it would be nice if the Bears like went to the playoffs. It would be great if they won out, right? But then they still draft Caleb Williams. They exercise Justin Fields' option. Justin Fields plays most of next year, and they're another playoff team, but they're not like lighting the world on fire. And you have the number one quarterback on the bench learning. People want him to play right away, but I'm fine with him sitting. That's a good thing to have. Same with the coach, right? I
I
liken
don't
it to
see
the
that.
Cubs.
Yeah, I
I don't,
know.
I don't see it happening,
This
but
is such
like
a pipe dream too to have
maybe,
have two options at quarterback, and it's like if this guy sucks, then we have this guy, and they're both. I just I don't think that's gonna happen because I think if you're not gonna marry yourself to Justin Fields, you're gonna trade
trade
him,
him.
and you're
Yeah,
gonna get something because there are teams that would take him because he's been good enough that a team like the
Atlanta.
Falcons or maybe
Yeah.
even the Jets to sit behind Rodgers for a year or so, whatever he's got left in him, or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, but then back to the
Raiders
coach
need a
thing too.
quarterback.
Like
There's like a lot of
I think it's just like the Cubs, right? He's good, I guess. He's been one of the worst coaches in a long time that we've had record wise, but he's starting to like have confidence and play good defense. We just get so caught up in the
you
storylines. Like
gotta really
everyone's like bring him
yeah,
back. I'm like, no, look at the big picture, man. The guy stinks. He's good of late, sure. He's
yeah,
got his defense cooking, but it's also because
exactly.
the GM traded for one of the best edge rushers in the league. It's going to make any defense better. So take a look at that way. He's had two coaches fired underneath him. Go get your high profile coach. Go show all your
Yeah.
players that it's like big boy time, and it's like, all right, playoffs or bust, Super Bowl or bust.
And I'm not going to say this is what Ryan Poles is looking at, but this is at least like how I think when I'm looking at players or a coach or whatever. It's like, what can you do with nothing? What can you do with people or players that aren't the best of the best?
Yeah,
You've got Peyton Manning throwing to, Austin Collie and some random like this guy's fantastic. He can make these guys stars. He can make them players. So,
yeah,
I didn't see that with Justin Fields until DJ Moore came over. I didn't see that with, Matt Eberflus and like you said until we
yeah.
got Sweat. So I don't know if these guys
It's a
are
good
able to
point.
do that or if we're
It's a good
just
point.
seeing all pro playmakers coming in and elevating everything else
That's
like
the
we've been
thing, man.
asking
That's
for.
that's the conversation we have, and then we can move on to our waiver wire fantasy football playoffs. But we have it with our friends all the time, right? Like everyone wants to make the excuse that Fields is good, but he hasn't had the right scheme. He's good, but he hasn't had the right talent. And it's like we've always done that, and we
Yeah.
look around the league, and it's like, what's your favorite quote? Like the cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
You put that quarterback in there, and all of a sudden these no names are stars, right? You got a Jordy Nelson in Green Bay being one of the best receivers in the league. The guy would suck on any other team, right?
Yeah. I mean, and I look at CJ Stroud specifically. Nico Collins is
Right.
now
Who
one
are
of
who
the
are these
best.
who are these receivers that he's throwing to?
Noah Brown is having huge games, 150-yard games. Tank Dell was a prospect a lot of people liked, but I get it, but he was a late pick. He wasn't like some stud that was taken in the first, second round. I mean, he's a 5'9" receiver. Like CJ
Yeah.
Stroud is elevating a lot of these guys. He's a great player.
And
So
then you get a punt returner and Wes Welker from the Dolphins traded to the New England Patriots, and boom, best receiver of
exactly.
like all time. Right.
Yeah. Welker straight to Edelman. Would
Yeah.
Edelman have been what he was with somebody else? No. I mean, the great ones will elevate those players. And I think the Bears, we're seeing a quarterback that is like, hey,
Good.
this guy's good. He's
Good.
better than some of the
Good.
other crap that we've had,
Not great.
you know,
Not great.
but he's
Good.
not, he's
I
not
agree. I
Mahomes.
agree. And I think we're
Yeah,
excited
no,
about good when we should be holding out for great.
exactly. All right. So week 15, it's playoff time. Dan, did you
It's
make the
crazy.
playoffs in any of your fantasy leagues?
I'm in 2 leagues this year. I think I got last place in your league and I got first place in the other league I'm in. So complete
Okay.
polar
So
opposites.
there you go. So you do have a shot here.
Yep.
If you don't have a buy, maybe you need a pickup here. I think my top pickup this week is going to be Ty Chandler. I think Alex Madison's going to be out for a little bit for Minnesota. Chandler picked up all the running back snaps after Madison went out, so I'm really looking for him to get some opportunities. I think it's a high ankle sprain for Madison, so I think he might be out for 2 to 3 weeks here. So you might get Chandler for the whole fantasy playoffs as a
Hmm.
starting running back. That's a good spot to be. Dante Foreman, I think he's emerged now as the Bears starting running back, and
Yeah.
I think
I
he's the
had
best of the
Khalil Herbert
bunch.
and he had like no opportunity last week. And I did not see
Yeah.
that coming.
I think Foreman's the best of the bunch. He can catch it a little bit too, and he's big ground and pound runner. Roshan's decent in pass blocking situations, but Foreman's the guy I think that you want. He might be out there on the waiver wire. I think some people have been picking up and dropping because everybody's been trying to figure out who's going to be that Bears guy,
Right.
and I
Right.
think Foreman's going to be the guy the rest of the season. Jerick McKinnon's another good pickup, out of Kansas City. So, I'd look for him. CEH, somebody I'm a little bit less interested in, but
Yeah.
McKinnon is somebody that I would look to grab. And quarterback wise, Joe Flacco has been kind of a stud
Killing it.
lately.
Killing,
Yeah,
but he's
for
going against the
Cleveland.
Bears. So look at that matchup. You might want to think twice about that. Both their offensive tackles also are now out for the season. So it might be an interesting look there.
Yeah,
And yeah, it should be a good game. But yeah, there's your fantasy football top waiver wire pickups. It's really thin. I mean, you're looking at
really
it
thin.
and it's kind of like you're throwing darts
We're
up there.
talking about
Like,
Joe Flacco,
yeah, like
as a guy
who's
who was on
gonna
a
hit?
practice squad
Who's
two
gonna
weeks
hit?
ago for Cleveland. So, I mean, yeah, especially for quarterback, it's been brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's been our show today. Thanks again for joining us. For Dan Slowick, I'm Evan Bierman. You've been listening to the Domestic Draft Podcast. If you're listening on Spotify, don't forget to rate the show. You can find us on Twitter at Domestic Draft, on Instagram at Domestic Draft Podcast. Our website is domesticdraft.com, and you can watch the show on YouTube. Just search up Domestic Draft and drop us a sub. Thanks again for listening. Cheers.
Cheers.